Got it.
Okay, you're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Borough of Ramsey Mayor and Council regular meeting, Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. This meeting is also being conducted telephonically. The dial-in number is 425-436-6365 with access code 213563#. So the meeting may also be viewed on the Ramsey YouTube channel. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Dillon.
Here.
Councilwoman Cusick.
Here.
Councilman Gutwetter.
Here.
Councilman Kilman. He's not here. Councilwoman Poppy.
Here.
Councilman Weber.
Here.
Councilwoman Woods.
Here. Thank you. May I please have Councilman Weber lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of all citizens to have advance notice of and to attend all meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting the public is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, notice of this meeting of the Mayor and Council was published in the Bergen Record and Ridgewood News on Friday, January 15, 2022. Okay, we don't have any approval of minutes this evening. Do we have communications?
We do, Madam Mayor. I move that the communications on tonight's agenda be received and filed.
I second. Thank you. Any comments on the communications? I just want to note that Ramsey has achieved Sustainable New Jersey Silver certification, so congratulations to all who worked so hard on that. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick.
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter.
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy.
Yes.
Councilman Weber.
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes. Thank you. Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the governing body, please give your name, spelling the last name, and address. Please speak in an audible tone and address your comments to the chair. There will be a 5-minute time limit per speaker unless reduced because of the volume of business on the agenda. Please note public comment is your time. Out of respect and fairness to all present, there will be no interruptions or questions answered during your time. No time shall be ceded to anyone else, and no time shall be saved for later use. Any responses may be given during the governing body's comments later in the meeting or as directed by the chair. The borough clerk is the official timekeeper. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment?
George Bumiller,
Yes.
Bumiller, Ramsey, New Jersey. I'm calling in using the pre-conference call act. Now, the governor has extended the health emergency for another 30 days. But for a number of months, due to the health emergency, the Ramsey Mayor and Council has been posting the communications and full text of resolutions as part of the meeting agenda. This provides the public with more information, and it also provides the borough experience in doing this. It seems to have not caused any problems. Continuing this practice after the health emergency ends would be both a help to the public and a courtesy to the public. I suggest that the governing body continue this practice after the end of the health emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bumiller. Okay, anyone else from the public?
Good evening, Chance Parker, PR, KER, Ramsey, New Jersey. Spring right around the corner. Curious as to what the council's plans are in future investment to pedestrian pathways and non-vehicular transportation access. The planning board is some 16 years deficient in providing a comprehensive update to the traffic circulation and transportation element of the master plan. I know the Environmental Commission passed a kind of watered down complete streets resolution a number of years ago. I don't know of any significant policy or project that has been initiated due to that resolution. So as we all know, during the pandemic, many people started utilizing outdoor facilities at a much higher rate, and pedestrian traffic picked up quite a bit. Now that spring is around the corner, kids are going to be riding and walking to school, as well as an increase in normal vehicular traffic. It's no secret Ramsey is not a very pedestrian-friendly borough. So again, I'm asking for the countless times, what can we do to try to initiate better planning, better development, and better infrastructure for pedestrians, bicyclists, and non-vehicular motor traffic. I think local aid grant they just released like $6 million of funding for other municipalities. Grants that are out there, grants that are available, it never just seems to be of interest for the borough to pursue these monies that are out there. We're building a $150,000 pickleball court in Finch Park, right? I mean, that seems like accommodating a very small subsection of the population as opposed to larger infrastructure. I would also like to implore the council to integrate the complete streets resolution into normal paving, where we should be having conversations about sidewalk access. Is there any way you can mute that? It's fairly distracting.
I think we're trying.
So, yeah, I'm again asking, what we're doing. What are the active plans, projects, initiatives that we can start to develop and deploy because we're so late in updating traffic circulation, transportation elements of our master plan, our guiding document, right, a framework of which we should be doing these things. Also, things to consider is, with the planning board would be, instituting some type of fund for development, percentage of the scope or the fee for development, redevelopment to go towards sidewalk and pedestrian access. So just wanted to mention those couple things as, again, everybody got a little hint whiff of spring today, and I'm sure we'll see you all out in the future. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parker. Okay, I don't see anyone else in the room. Is there anyone else on the line who would like to make a comment during public comment? Second call? Third and final call? Okay, not hearing anybody, then I will close public comment. We don't have any advertised public hearing for final consideration. No appointments. At this point, I would ask Borough Administrator Bozé to do his presentation on the 2022 municipal budget.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, just a couple comments before I get into the presentation, and this will be an overview of the budget and the comparative information so that people are not looking at it in a vacuum, but we will do comparatives also to other towns in Northwest Bergen as well as the County of Bergen further on in the presentation, so as a point of reference. For the 2022 municipal budget, there's a proposed increase of 1.79% in the tax rate. This will be the 12th consecutive year that the municipal tax rate has stayed below 2% and continues to illustrate the stability in budgeting and implementing cost reductions where appropriate without impacting services to help mitigate the inflationary cost increases that everyone is seeing. The municipal budget size increase for 2022 is higher than normal due to the borough's receipt of grant revenue and funding from the American Rescue Plan. These two items together add up to $2.1 million in revenue with offsetting appropriations. Therefore, they have no incremental impact on the municipal tax rate. Without these line items, the total budget change is approximately 2%. The borough debt levels in 2022 and includes in this budget a pay down of debt of $1.82 million. Ramsey municipal debt level remains one of the lowest among the 13 Northwest Bergen towns. It's under 10% of what the state allows for a community our size. The strong financial position is reflected in the net interest cost from the financial market, which Ramsey has received on its bond anticipation notes, averaging at or under 0.5% over the last 2 years. Capital investment in the 2022 budget will provide approximately $1.94 million, or just under $2 million of capital investment in our infrastructure through the budget. And this, combined with some capital improvement reserves along with access to the debt market, should allow us to continue with a significant level of funding for road resurfacing and other capital projects planned for 2022. As far as surplus utilization, that increases by $200,000, the level of utilization from 2021. We are utilizing benefits that were achieved in prior fiscal years from underspending the budget and receiving revenue in excess of the budget and putting the value back into the budget to offset the taxpayer cost. The breakdown of a resident's property tax bill is 69% to the schools, 20% to municipal, 10% to the county, and 1% to the library. So the budget that the governing body controls is 20% of your local property tax bill. In looking at those components over the last 5 years in terms of rates, I'll just run through this quickly. As I mentioned previously, for the prior 11 years, the borough has been under 2% each year. For the last 5 years, municipal increases have been 1.42%, with an annual high of 1.86%. Board of Education increases have averaged 3.05% over the last 5 years, with a high of 5.17% annual in 1 year. The County of Bergen average is 1.79% over this time, with a high of 6.05%. And the library is a statutory calculation based on the equalized value of the community. That's averaged 0.64% with a high of 3.03%. Just to look back at 2021, in 2021, the municipal tax increase rate was 0%. The Board of Education and county components had slight increases, but overall, the combined property tax rate increase for a Ramsey resident for 2021 was under 1% combined at a total of 0.89%. The average residential home assessed at $527,048 in 2021 paid $13,666 in property taxes, which was $121 higher than the 2020 for an average home based on last year's rate. A summary of the 2022 budget, again, the tax rate will increase 1.79%. The total revenue, as I discussed, goes up because of the American Rescue Plan and the grant reimbursements that also then go to pay down debt and other capital investment. So holding those things out, it's a 2% general increase in those line items, and I highlighted some of the larger line items with capital investment and debt service. The budget presentation then goes through a breakdown of where the revenue comes from and where a pie chart of where the revenue comes from and where appropriations are. Obviously, on the revenue side, 68% of the budget is funded through current taxes. 10% is the next largest component, which is surplus utilization that is regenerated from prior years' performances that are better than budgeted, with underspending the budget or collecting more revenue. Okay, and state aid still is flat for at least the last 15 years, and that represents approximately 6% of the budget. On the appropriation side of the budget, the salary and wages make up about 37% of the budget, with health insurance 6%, and then the other operating expenses are about 26%, which would include garbage collection, DPW functions, leaf pickup, all other operating expenses of the borough as well. Okay. I mentioned earlier, that with the rate increase at 1.79%, the increase in municipal taxes monthly for every $100,000 of assessed value, the increase monthly will be 75 cents. So the municipal increase monthly on an average home would be $3 assessed at $529,916 for 2022, which is the average. The monthly increase due to municipal taxes will be $3.95 per month, or about $4 obviously a month, or $48 per year for the municipal portion. If we take a look at where Ramsey stacks up with the county in terms of municipal tax rate, of the 70 towns in Bergen County, Ramsey is the 11th lowest of the 70. Ramsey is approximately 31% below the county average municipal tax rate. Of the 10 towns with lower municipal rates, 8 of them have significantly higher average residential assessments, and the other 2 towns are Mahwah and East Rutherford, which have very significant large commercial areas. So while Ramsey is the 11th lowest for the municipal portion, we are the 37th lowest, or basically dead in the middle of the county of 70 towns. When you factor in the whole components of your tax rate between school, county, and library, we're in the middle, and we're the 11th lowest. So that means that those other components are higher relative to other communities than our municipal is. In terms of Northwest Bergen County, the 13 towns in Northwest Bergen, we have an effective tax rate which is the 6th lowest. The 5 lower, again, have significantly higher average residential assessments, and Mahwah, who has obviously a higher commercial area. So just as a point of reference in terms of average assessment, Ramsey is for 2022 is roughly 530,000. Saddle River is $1.9 million in average residential assessment. Franklin Lake's ahead of us, almost $1.1 million. Wyckoff 800,000, Saddle River 776. So significantly higher, which allows you at a lower rate to collect the same amount of dollars as somebody who has less assessment. In terms of looking at increases on what the other Northwest Bergen towns have done over the last 3 years, Ramsey has the municipal rates in Northwest Bergen in 2021, I'll touch on that last year first, increased an average of 2.9%, and Ramsey's municipal increase was 0%. So the other towns in Northwest Bergen averaged almost 3%. Ramsey and Waldwick were at 0. Ramsey's municipal rate increase for the last 11 years, again, has been under 2%. In the last 3 years alone, Ramsey and Waldwick are the only 2 towns to not have a municipal tax rate in any of the 3 years that didn't go above 2.7%. So Ramsey's 3-year average is 1.2% annually, again, the second lowest of the 13 towns over the 3-year period. In terms of the amount of taxes that are dedicated to municipal, of the total property taxes, we talked earlier about it, Ramsey's just under 20%. Ramsey's the 6th lowest in Bergen County of amount of your tax dollars that go to municipal services. So of the 70 towns, we are the 6th lowest in terms of that. It illustrates how much goes to the residents, and as we've shown, Ramsey is one of the lowest for municipal services relative to any tax levy in Bergen County, with more than 90% of the towns sending a higher percentage of tax dollars to municipal services. In terms of the percentage of a resident's tax dollars going to the schools, Ramsey is in the highest 10% of Bergen County municipalities, with 69% of the property tax dollars going to the school district. Looking at our debt position, over the last 9 years, it's gone down prior to some capital investment in some long-term projects that picked up in 2018 and 19. It's kind of been fairly steady between $10 and $12 million over those, out of the 9 years, maybe 7 of the 9 years. Again, other than a couple years where investment was down in infrastructure. This year, as mentioned in the budget, we have $1.8 million budgeted for debt paydown, and we have an award of a grant of $600,000 roughly that's to be received this year from the federal project on Main Street, which will be an additional paydown of debt above that $1.8 million. If you look at our debt comparison to those Northwest Bergen towns, we have the fourth lowest amount of debt of all the 13 towns in total amount of municipal debt as a percentage of your town's equalized valuation basis, which is used to kind of equalize everybody, put us on a similar footing to compare apples to apples. The state allows up to 3.5% of net debt as a percentage of equalized valuation. Ramsey, at the end of 2021, is at 0.33%. So our debt levels are approximately 1/10 of what the state would limit, and again, the fourth lowest in Northwest Bergen. In terms of surplus utilization, I'll just go over kind of how this works. At the beginning of a year, you put surplus, you have a beginning surplus balance going into the year. For 2021, that was $3,550,000. The surplus is then put into the budget to offset taxes needed from the public. That was $2,495,000 last year, leaving a balance of about $1 million before you would regenerate. You regenerate surplus in a year from either excess budget revenue collected or miscellaneous revenue collected that was not budgeted for, 2021 taxes that were received in excess of the budget, and a collection reserve. Obviously, just as the borough collects property taxes for all four components. However, if someone does not pay their taxes, the borough is still obligated to pay the tax levy that the school gets and the county gets. If somebody doesn't pay taxes, that falls on the borough. So the borough will have a reserve for uncollected taxes. So with a better collection rate, that would go into the surplus and then be put back into the budget next year to offset tax increase. Unspent appropriations, as we said, if you underspend the budget, that goes back into your surplus balance to rebuild up. So then at the last year in 2021, we regenerated about $3,150,000 in surplus. So we had the end of the year balance, which was $4.2 million. That's why we are utilizing a couple $100,000 more into this year's budget going into 2022. If you look at our surplus balance over the last 13 years, it's fluctuated a little bit, but over the last 8 to 10 years, it's between 3.5 and 4.5 million, and it's kind of staying in that general area. And that's what we're kind of planning for, to keep in that rule of thumb. They would like either a rating agency or someone to look at our budget. They like municipalities to be in that 15% range, roughly 15% of what your budget is to be held in surplus fund balance. So we're in that ballpark. And in terms of surplus utilized in the Northwest Bergen towns as comps, we're right in the middle of how much utilization is applied in the budget. We're right in the middle of the pack, no high or low versus the other towns in terms of how much we utilize in the budget. So just kind of to wrap up, the budget meets the objective of adopting a prudent and responsible budget while continuing to provide a high level of service to taxpayers. The tax rate increase in 2022 as we mentioned, the 12th consecutive year will be below 2%. The budget still includes significant capital investment without borrowing from the American Rescue Plan and grants. Ramsey actively sought and received mitigating taxpayer impact for these infrastructure investments. Ramsey ranks in the lowest tier of municipal tax rates in Bergen County, with the 6th lowest of 70 municipalities. Share of tax dollars going to municipal services. Our share is 19.4% of the taxes go to municipal services, which is 54% below the county average of 30% of taxes going to municipal services. Ramsey maintains a favorable ranking for municipal tax rates, debt, and surplus levels with other Northwest Bergen municipalities, and the 2022 budget continues to reduce municipal debt levels while addressing necessary capital and infrastructure investments.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Just the last thing I would comment on is the schedule for the budget. The plan now is to introduce at the next meeting of March 9th. We had the presentation here, and also the presentation can be found on the Borough website. And then the public hearing after budget advertisement in the newspaper and vote on adoption will be scheduled for the April 13th meeting. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you. That was very thorough. And thanks for all your work on this budget and the Finance Committee. I'll move to consent resolutions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that resolutions 063-2022 through and including 068-2022, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Ramsey, be and are hereby passed and approved. There are two special permit requests. The Shannon Rose Irish Pub is requesting permission to hold their annual St. Patrick's event March 14th to 19th, 2022. They would like to use McFarren Field for employee parking on those days from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. Sprint for Our Schools is requesting permission to post signs on lawns, high school tennis courts, pool tennis courts, and Main Street Triangle advertising their annual 5K run on Saturday, March 14th, 2022. There are no block party requests.
Do we have a second?
Councilwoman Cusick, I second.
Thank you. Any comments on the consent resolutions? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cusick.
Yes.
Councilman Gutwetter.
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy.
Yes.
Councilman Weber.
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes. Thank you. We'll now move on to committee and liaison reports. First up will be Finance and Administration. Councilman Gutwetter.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. I just want to start off by thanking Borough Administrator Jose for all his efforts on tonight's budget presentation and all the work that went into it over the last number of weeks and months. My report, I will cover the library board first. The outdoor lighting project has begun to fix and replace fixtures on the library grounds. As reported in the last meeting, recent library events have been held, such as the Lunar New Year, and Winterfest is in place for this Saturday, February 26th. See the library's website for more information. I guess there could be some weather concerns. The library's TikTok, macrame crafts, and art gallery continue to have a large number of views and are worth a look at. Check out also the new collections that the library has to offer. As for the Rec Commission, a meeting is scheduled for parents of wrestlers to determine who will run the program next year. Plans are in place for an Easter egg hunt to be held on Saturday, April 2nd, so as not to conflict with the RBSA parade on April 9th and spring recess on April 16th. The Easter egg hunt will be at 10 a.m. at Finch Park. Home Run Derby is on Saturday, June 18th, which is the Saturday before Father's Day. Celebrations are being planned around the 50th anniversary of Ramsey's involvement. From what I've been told, Ramsey is the only town north of Toms River that has a home run derby. I guess that's
I
possible.
think that's accurate, yes.
Is that accurate?
Yep.
Pretty good. As for the pool commission, registration will open on March 1st. Early bird with discounted rates will run from March 1st to April 30th. Opening day for the pool will be May 28th, which I think is probably a Saturday, and will be open weekends only until June 25th, which is the day after graduation, then should open up daily after that. Fab Fridays will be back. Most of the bands have already been booked, and they'll be having firm dates in the future for a cornhole tournament and a luau party. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Pass that back, please. Thank you. Does anyone have any report for Councilman Tillman? He's not here this evening. No? Okay, thank you. Then I'll move it down to Building, Planning, and Zoning. Councilwoman Woods.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would also like to thank Borough Administrator Jose and Councilman Gutwetter for their hard work on the budget. It was very well done, and I'm very proud of our budget. The seniors continue to have classes. They had a bit of a blip with the last outbreak, but things are back on track. They are just trying to get back to normal, and hopefully we'll be having some outings soon. Design Review Board had no applications, so there was no meeting. Zoning Board of Adjustment had 2 applications. that were approved. We have discussed overnight parking and are continuing to discuss it. We are working to come up with a solution and relief for residents that need that kind of relief, and we will have something shortly on that. And I also would like to note that the cannabis ordinance has been tabled because the state provided us with a PowerPoint recently, actually this week, to assist with the development of a solid ordinance, but we need time to review their recommendations, so we have a good document. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Utilities, Buildings and Grounds, Councilwoman Cusick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a resident of Ramsey, I am so happy and thankful that the tax rate increase for the municipal budget is below 2%. And as a councilwoman, I'm grateful for the hard work, the discipline, and the innovation that the financial team has done to make this happen. Thank you so much. My report will provide an update regarding the Planning Board, our Shade Tree Commission, and our Board of Public Works. There's no Planning Board meeting on the 15th of February. The next Planning Board meeting is the 1st of March. For the Ramsey Shade Tree Commission, it met on February 17th, 2022. The commission has plans for tree planting at the Ramsey Pool on the 29th of April, which is Arbor Day. It's been confirmed that the tree planting will not conflict with the Eagle Scout project. So the next commission meeting is on the 21st of March, 2022. The Ramsey Board of Public Works last met on January 2022. The next meeting is the 28th of February 2022. And as stated in our prior meetings, NJDEP has a lead service line law that requires the public community to do a water systems inventory and replace all lead and galvanized service lines in our system over a period of 10 years. So Ramsey samples our lead in our drinking water, and our water results are below the US EPA lead limits. And for residents, there's a frequently asked questions document regarding this effort on the borough website. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Now pass it down to Councilwoman Poppy for Public and Governmental Relations.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would also like to extend my thanks to Borough Administrator Bozay, Councilman Gutwetter, and all who worked on the budget. I am very excited to see it still below 2% for the 12th consecutive year. The Ramsey Municipal Alliance co-sponsored Like, an indie film about the impact of social media on our lives, and provided tips on how to regulate usage to maintain balance. They did a great job bringing in participants. There were over 300 attendees dialed in to the Zoom for the screening. Also in attendance were the filmmakers who took questions and offered commentary at the end. I would like to congratulate those involved on a great event. The next RMA meeting will be held on February 28th at 7:30 p.m. due to a conflict in Borough Chambers. They will be holding their meeting at the Senior Center. The meeting is open to the public. The Ramsey Farmers Market continues to run outdoors at the train station on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. December through April, and will extend its hours to 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. beginning in May. Go to RamseyFarmersMarket.org to sign up for their newsletter. It's a great way to see which vendors will be in attendance on Sundays. I would also like to remind our residents to shop local whenever possible and to browse our local business pages from RamseyChamber.com, as well as on the Chamber Facebook page. Not all businesses have a storefront, so please look them up and see what services and wares they have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Health, Education, Social Services, Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll add my congratulations and thanks to all those that worked on the budget process. I do know it's an arduous project and process, and they do a great job with that every year. Nothing new on the Board of Education. They're actually meeting tonight, so I did not attend as it conflicts with the mayor and council. I reported on the Environmental Commission activities at our last meeting, but subsequent to that, Karen Day did put out a summary of all the actions that went into achieving the certification, the silver certification. And as Mayor Dillon mentioned, we did receive the formal letter from the program assistant, the Sustainable Jersey program assistant. And with the summary, achieving silver was no small task. There were over 33 actions performed, by at least 35 different groups and individuals. So, congratulations to everybody for the hard work on that. I know silver has been something that the Environmental Commission's been striving to achieve for several years. Regards to Rife, we had a phenomenal Valentine's Day dance this past Friday night. Again, the room was filled to capacity. I think, again, I state this every time we do have an event, the thanks that I have to the mayor and council and all that were involved in putting that community center together. We received wonderful compliments on the facility and the organization as well. We probably had about 60 special needs individuals with their family members. We ran out of chairs, which, when somebody asked if we had additional chairs, we said we had them all distributed out. They complimented us on the event and said that was a wonderful problem, but we made it work. We just made more people get up and dance, so we freed up some chairs that way. We had a lot of help that night. Lenny and James DiTomaso, Umberto and Marco Portillo. Charlene was there with her daughter the whole night. We had the Poppy family took shifts. Councilwoman Poppy and her daughter were there for the early shift, the setting up and feeding, and Dad and son came and helped with the cleanup. We had former Councilman Joe Verdoni was there with his wife, Dorothy. We had the Ortiz family, and of course my wife Donna. I tell you, we had such a blast. Watching Dorothy Verdoni, my wife, and Victor Ortiz serving pizza was like watching a dealer down in Atlantic City dealing poker table. The slices were, just pulled from the oven, put on the plate, served. It was a fun night. If I haven't made that point clear, that is really all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. For my comments, I just want to let everybody know that the helicopter issue that was brought to our attention in January appears to be addressed. What it is, the helipad is required to comply with the original requirements from when it was granted back in like the mid-'80s. So it can only be used for ancillary use for tenants at Crossroads and for emergency services such as a medevac. So I personally have noticed a lot less helicopter traffic lately. I want to give everybody that update. As Councilwoman Cusick had mentioned, New Jersey mandatory water service line inventory and replacement is required for all public community water systems, and that includes Ramsey. And as she also mentioned, we test regularly for lead in the water, and we are in compliance. We meet all NJDEP and US EPA standards. We also have a corrosion control water treatment system in place for our source water. And this type of water treatment is designed to protect against corrosion of the water distribution means, service lines, and plumbing in homes and businesses. What's going on with the replacement requirement right now, this week all public water systems, including Ramsey, sent out a standard notification drafted by the NJDEP, which went to all properties that have been identified to have lead service lines. Remember, lead service lines also includes galvanized lines. The Ramsey Board of Public Works and its professionals are developing plans and project specifications to replace the service lines currently identified. And while the state allows 10 years for replacement, we will be aggressively moving forward with the project timeline to replace those identified as quickly as practical under the public construction requirements in the procurement, budgeting, and funding. Our goal is to have these initial service lines, which have been identified, replaced this year. And now we also know that we will have service lines off of Wyckoff Avenue and Main Street, and we will have to work with the county on those because those are both county roads. But I just did want to let everybody know that the notifications did go out this week to the affected homeowners and business property owners. They went out by certified mail. Okay? And that's all I have. Borough Administrator,
Nothing further, thank you.
thank you. And once again, you did a great job in your budget presentation.
Thank you.
Borough Attorney?
Nothing, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Borough Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. Thank you. We have no introduction of ordinances, no unfinished business, no new business. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Councilwoman Cusick, I second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.